Hey, so we recently hit 300,000 subscribers here on YouTube. So by the time we post this video, I will have spent almost 30 days with the S26 Ultra, and it has just been a wild month. I've flown to San Francisco for Samsung Unpacked, Barcelona for NWC, and I also managed to delete my entire YouTube channel, which more on that a little bit later. But I wanted to just share with you what the S26 Ultra has been like for me as someone who has dailied an iPhone for the past few months, but also someone who has used the last 5 generations of Samsung S series phones. So I hope you enjoy it. Oh, and please do subscribe, by the way. It seems we are now on the road to 500,000 subscribers, which is just insane.
Now I'm so high.
If we haven't met before, hey, my name is Pete. Before COVID, I used to run my own IT support business and spent most of my time fixing problems for other people. I sold that business, and now I get to create content for a living. Wild, I know. Testing the latest and greatest whilst traveling the world, along with being a husband and a dad. I really enjoy trying new products. I just find myself getting really bored with the same things day in and day out. Which is why, when features come out, like Samsung's privacy display on this year's S26 Ultra, I was actually really excited to see how this works in the real world. And as far as the technology goes, it is pretty clever. By essentially making some of the pixels on the screen directional, you can then limit the viewing angles on the phone to stop people from being nosy and looking at your phone whilst you are sat next to them. And because it's done at the pixel level, you can do this for as little as a notification to a whole app or just the entire screen. Now, broadly speaking, this is great, and I do like the feature. It works really well with just blocking notifications. But outside of this, I just started to run into a few issues. It really washes out the colors, especially if you are using it in dark mode. I still don't really trust it enough to be looking at sensitive content when I'm sat right next to someone. I find that if you lean back a bit, you can still read what's on their display. Don't get me wrong, it is a fantastic idea, but I'd be hoping for maybe a few improvements as this feature gets developed further each year. Especially improving the anti-reflective coating on that screen, which is also now less effective than it used to be on the S25 Ultra. But outside of this, the S26 Ultra continues to be an incredible phone, and one that I know will just continue selling very, very well. I do love the more curved edges, especially with a phone of this size. It doesn't dig into your palm of your hands like the more square S25 Ultra did last year. No real changes to the S Pen this year. Bluetooth is still missing. The big news was that was because nobody used the Bluetooth on the S Pen. But genuinely, after being at Samsung Unpacked and then at Barcelona for MWC, I am yet to see a single person pull out their S Pen. So surely the S Pen will be next to go, right? I have always been very vocal about how good these Snapdragon chips are in these flagship phones. I am yet to have a bad experience with Snapdragon products. Now that we're thankfully at the stage where the global version of the Samsung S series phones come with a Snapdragon chip inside and not Samsung's own Exynos chip, which just me and everyone I know just didn't feel performed as good as the equivalent Snapdragon chips. Now this year, we get the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 for Galaxy on the S26 Ultra and on the Base and Plus in some regions, where Qualcomm has customized their Snapdragon chip for Samsung's flagship S26 lineup. Now for me, once I tweak the animation speed in the developer settings to 0.5x, which I still do on all my phones just out of habit, this phone just feels so fast. The battery life, also really, really good here. I am finding the phone lasts longer than my iPhone 17 Pro did each day. Although I do still wish they made a smaller sized S26 Ultra, as I just find the plus size phones that a little bit more clunky to use one-handed. So I wish they made this phone, but in this size, just like smaller, but still Ultra. Especially when I don't use the S Pen. And even when gaming on this phone, there are no issues with performance or getting hot or anything like that, which again, I believe comes down to how good these Snapdragon chips are. So I just completely deleted my YouTube channel in its entirety, like the entire thing, literally gone. Thankfully, at 2 a.m, I was able to get through to someone on their online chat who helped me restore everything. And I'm so grateful that I was able to restore everything. And I know this isn't like part of my S26 Ultra review per se, but I just want to share this part of the experience because, well, as part of trying to switch to Samsung, I wanted to start clean with, fresh phone, fresh accounts, even a fresh phone number. And I did all of this when I was trying to tidy up about, 17 different Google accounts I have. Each of them had their own Google Photos, Google Docs, Google Drive, emails. So even a few different Google One subscriptions. Honestly, it was just getting to be such a huge mess. But I think, finally, with some collateral damage, finally, I've actually managed to do it. The only problem I have now is that I think I've migrated over 2 terabytes of photos and videos to my main Google account now, but Google isn't registering those photos as taking up any storage. It's only showing 50 gig or so, which are photos that I've manually uploaded to Google Photos. Now, other people have said the same thing when you share a photo library and then copy those photos into your library and then disconnect the share. This happens, but nobody seems to have a fix for it yet. So hopefully that gets fixed soon, but and I just know I have a ton of duplicates to figure out soon and work through. So I guess that is another fun job for future Pete to deal with after what a fun experience that was. So yeah, not fun. Now, I've also been testing out the Galaxy Buds 4 Pros these past few weeks, and these do sound incredible once you tweak the EQ to your liking. They also fit relatively well, although they still feel like they're going to fall out of my ears at times. But they are comfortable. The noise cancellation is great on them. I tested them in all sorts of noisy locations. Plus, they are comfortable to sleep with because the sides are flat, and there are also no buttons on the side either. So you can, sleep with your ear flat on a pillow without any awkward button presses, which, starts or maybe stops your music constantly on and off. Really, really annoying. Oh, and also their battery life. They lasted a whole flight from the UK to San Francisco on a single charge, which is 10 hours or so. So that's also pretty awesome. Now, one of the biggest things I've noticed, once again, on the S26 Ultra is how fast it will connect to Wi-Fi when it's within range. Before I even get out of my car, when I pull up at home, it's already connected to my home Wi-Fi. And when I am connected, Wi-Fi is so freaking fast. I recently upgraded to Wi-Fi 7 at both home and work. And at home, I have a 2.5 gig connection, and it is just incredible. For file transfers, I've been loving Blip recently, so I can send from Apple to Android to Linux to any device that I have, and that even works over the internet. So no matter where I am, I can actually still send stuff to my other devices or other people if I have them added. Android Auto is also still just okay. We are meant to have had Google Gemini delivered to Android Auto by March of 2026, which it is currently March, and it's been rolling out since November 2025. And it's arguably one of the most useful places to have Google Gemini because, when you can't touch your phone and interact with it, well, why wouldn't you want to have the full Google Gemini assistant helping you? But for now, we will have to put up with the good old classic Google Assistant. Hey, send a WhatsApp message to James Aslett.
Who do you want to message?
James Aslett.
Who do you want to message?
James Aslett. Literally there.
Who do you want to message?
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Google Assistant.
Sorry, who do you want to message?
So hopefully that happens soon, since Gemini is by far my most used and actually useful AI assistant, from research to basic coding to yeah, sure, fun image generation at times, to even the most recent scenario where it helped me make a purchasing decision with a new car, and I can't wait to show you what I bought this time. And then I guess that brings us to AI, which is something that I think we're all starting to get a little bit tired of. But hearing about some of the new features coming to the S26 Ultra, I was actually kind of relieved, focusing on features that are actually useful in the everyday life. Now, these features use agentic AI, which is all done on device to keep everything personalized and private by using that Qualcomm Hexagon NPU to do all of that processing without having to send it, up to the cloud and be processed up there. Now, Brief has improved. I like scanning through this every morning just to see, what the day looks like, from the weather to my calendar, and just where I park my car even. Just a quick 10-second scroll and I kind of know what's going on today. Now Nudge is another one, and I hope this gets better and better over time. Right now, say when a friend messages you to ask what you're doing on a specific date, or maybe to see the photos you took on a recent trip to San Francisco. With one tap, it can take you to the specific information that you need. And if someone asks you where you are, it can send your location in one tap. But for now, it does seem to be pretty hit and miss and requires some specific trigger words for it to trigger those actions. Photo Assist is also another good one, and probably one I'm using too much nowadays. And now I've used it to reimagine what both of my kids' bedrooms could look like, and then we basically did what the picture looked like. And now both my kids are delighted with their new rooms. I'm also trying to do this with my electric/network cupboard thing, which is very much in a state of mess right now, but again, hopefully that turns out as good as the bedrooms did. And then we have the cameras, which on the outside, not much has really changed this year. There's a slight improved aperture on the main lens, which lets in more light, which then provides better nighttime photos. Overall, still a fairly solid set of cameras. Are there better out there? Yeah, sure. But we're really at the stage now where you would only really notice them if you were comparing them side by side. And guys, I'm 40, I'm a dad, I've got kids. There are plenty of other channels out there if you want to do those pixel peeping comparisons. It's just not something we do here. But the thing that did surprise me and honestly changed my whole opinion is their support for the brand new APV codec, which, again, honestly, I didn't really care for when I first heard the announcement until I started using it. Now, this thing just gives you instant cinema on any video that you shoot, and the quality is stunning. One way that I judge the cameras without pixel peeping is when I post to my Instagram feed, if I then get messages telling me how incredible those photos or videos look, then I know the cameras are something special. I got it with the OnePlus 13, and now I've got it again with the S26 Ultra. It is just incredible, and with the ability to manually color grade each clip right on the phone itself, which in itself is pretty incredible that you can do this on a phone, but it does really put to rest the whole sticking point between, comparing video between iPhone and Android. But I have almost completely filled up my 256 gigabytes phone storage, with a big chunk of that being purely those video files. So do keep that in mind when ordering your phone. You may very well want to go up to the next level of phone storage. I think as soon as you discover how good the video footage looks, even with one of the pre-built LUTs applied, you won't ever be able to go back. Now, all of those videos record in a flat log profile, even though when you preview them with the LUT preset applied. So a lot of the time, I just then edit those videos, reapply the LUTs, and then resave them, and then they save to a much smaller file size. So there's always that if need be. But really helpfully, Samsung also provides the LUT files if you ever want to bring those videos into something like DaVinci, which is really nice just to see they've actually thought about more than just the on-device experience here. And then a minor one, I will say, but there's also a horizontal lock feature, which I'm sure you've probably already seen countless videos demonstrating this feature, which lets you spin the phone around 360 degrees and yet keeps the recorded video the right way up. But yeah, overall, I am genuinely excited about the video specific features of the S26 Ultra. And then on the photo side of things, with good lighting, I have had zero issues. Even trying to capture fast moving objects, aka kids. Low light images are also great. Makes full use of Snapdragon's AI image signal processor here. And between the slight improvement in the aperture and the video features, I don't think anyone buying an S26 Ultra this year is going to really be disappointed in any way. Now, gaming is also great on the S26 Ultra this year. I'm glad to see that Fortnite, again, one of my games I play pretty much every single night, plays pretty flawlessly. And impressively, I am getting 120 FPS consistently, and that's with all of the settings maxed out at epic quality. And again, this is somewhere where Snapdragon have made some improvements on specifically the Unreal Engine, which uses the Adreno GPU, which, again, without getting too technical, just splits up the GPU processing into more manageable chunks, which basically just gives you high performance gaming while still being very power efficient to give you essentially a small console in your pocket. But with all of that said, there are still a few areas where I'd like to see some improvements. I've said it before, but having the NFC sensor on the back of the phone around about here-ish, I still find just awkward. It's not as effortless as just tapping the top of your phone. You have to kind of hold your phone out like that and tap the card machine. Also, there's like LinkedIn and Outlook and Copilot, global goals. We don't need these apps pre-installed. It's kind of like having a YouTube album loaded onto your phone without asking for it. And also the privacy display is great. I think we're heading to a place where we won't actually interact with our phones in our hands. And then with Samsung confirming development of a new smart glasses product at a time where people are probably wondering what the alternatives might be, well, it is an interesting time for sure. But honestly, seeing some better camera hardware, truly faster charging, silicon carbon battery technology, along with the Snapdragon chips, which just when combined, just have all the incredible efficiency and power properly optimized, that is when Samsung could really and truly rise to greatness. He says as they're like the #1 selling company in the world already, but rise beyond greatness. And at the end of the day, and like I say in most of my videos whenever I talk about a phone, this is a great phone, as is a OnePlus, or a Pixel, or Apple, or Oppo, or Xiaomi. They are all great phones, and we are blessed by having the choice. A choice to choose the one with the best cameras, or the best battery life, the best ecosystem, or just the best all-rounder, the best colors, or the best shape. You and you alone should decide, and stop letting others, and especially you in the comment section, bully people into picking a different phone. Who cares if you're a green bubble or a blue bubble? Because at the end of the day, all I want is to call my wife after a hard day's work and ask her where she wants to go for dinner tonight, where we can reminisce at the decades worth of memories that we have stored on our phones, no matter what phone or device they were taken on.